I remember you told me once how your whole gimmick came about with Dusty Rhodes. So I'm going to tell you something. Back in the day, this is before I met you, this is before me and my brother even got to Global, I think. We were just local wrestlers here in Houston. And when the WWE or WCW came to town, we'd go in the back and talk to some of the guys because, that's where we wanted to be and stuff like that. And I remember talking to Teddy Long. And Teddy Long was like, man, they got this guy down there at school, man. And, man, he looks like Little Richard. I don't know what they're going to do with this guy, He's talking about you. And I'm like saying to myself, Little Richard? What's that, So I don't know how many months went by or so, maybe a year, I don't know. Then I seen you come out on television because he never told me nothing about you. He just said a guy. I seen you come out and Teddy Long was with you. And I was like, that must be the guy Teddy Long was talking about. Go through that for us, man. Give us that whole spiel.
Oh, man. Okay, what happened was I was one of the guys that just I drove 9 hours to Atlanta to hopefully be chosen to be one of the guys that gets beat up by one of the superstars at center stage.
Right.
I made like $150 and quick match.
Hey man, did David Pearson hook you up with that?
I believe so. I think it was David.
Well, David Pearson took $300 of the money, but anyway, go ahead.
And so they chose me, and the first ones I got to wrestle was Doom, Ron Simmons, and Butch Reed.
Right.
World Tag Team Champion. My first match, I had a couple matches ever in my life at this point on the independent scene.
Right.
And so we ended up the finish of the match, and I ended up screwing up the finish or something, and I was really upset because I messed up. And so they said, Dusty wants to see you in his office. I thought, oh, gosh, coming back here again, So I walked into Dusty Rhodes was the booker at the time. So I walked into his office. I go, hey, Dusty, I'm really sorry. He goes, I don't even care about the match. He goes, kid, anybody ever tell you look like Little Richard? And I go, now I thought he was talking about a wrestler. So I go, you never heard of Little Richard? What about Blue Bob, what about Boo? And I go, no, I never. I know the singer, Little Richard. He goes, man, you look just like him. I never heard that before, But anyways, Dusty saw this character, and he says, I think I got a gimmick for you. So, anyways, months go by, and he wouldn't let me come back to center stage because he didn't want to put me on television anymore. And I'm broke, man. I'm making like $20 grand a year digging swimming pools,
Right.
And so all of a sudden there was a phone call, and they said, Dusty wants to see you at his office tomorrow. Now, I live 9 hours away, but...
Were you in Tampa?
I was in Venice, Florida, and he was in...
Okay, Venice.
Yeah. So the next morning I get up early because I had to get up really early to drive there, and my Isuzu pickup truck was repossessed. It was gone. So I got no ride to center stage. And you remember Mark Hill with Dan Hammer?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, he was down there at the time, and I got him on the phone. I go, hey, dude, can you drive me to Atlanta? And he goes, sure, man. He goes, because he wanted to get in wrestling too. And
right.
Well, if I got in, maybe I could help him get in, which ended up happening. But anyways, we drive down to Atlanta, and I'm in the, go to center stage. It's like Dusty Rhodes' office, like next to Ted Turner,
Right.
And I'm sitting in the waiting room, and the secretary calls my name, and I go into Dusty's office, but he's on the phone with someone, and he's in a deep conversation talking. And all of a sudden he goes, hold on a second, puts the phone down. He hands me a contract. He goes, kid, have your attorney look this over and get back to me. And he gets back on the phone. Now, I grabbed the contract. Remember the first contract was $6 grand, then it doubled to 150, but you can make $6 figures.
Well, you got more than me. You got way more than I did, brother.
Yeah. So anyway,
I made less money I made less money when I came up there. Asked him what I was doing before I got up there.
Oh my gosh. So,
but anyway, go ahead, bro.
Look at this contract, and so I'm going, oh my gosh. So I go, Dusty, excuse me, and he's on the phone, and now he's upset. He goes, what? And I go, do you mind if I just sign this? I don't even have an attorney. And he goes, welcome to WCW. And I said,
wow.
I cannot wait to talk to my father and tell my dad. My dad was my biggest support. My dad worked my corner when I was a boxer,
Right.
So I go to the payphone. Now, this is back in 1991. Now, remember, Stevie Ray, back then, when you make a collect call, they say collect call from, and then you say your name, and
right.
the person could take it or not, you know?
Right.
Now, there's a couple of things you don't do in life, okay? You know the old saying, you don't spin the wind, you don't tug on Superman's cape.
Right.
You don't call a Jew collect. My dad is Jewish, all right? So now my dad is a Brooklyn Jew, okay? Like, Mark, how are you? You want to die? You know, that.
Right.
So, anyways, I called collect, and they said, collect call from. I go, Dad, don't hang up. It's important. So my dad said, all right, I'll take the call. So I go, Dad, you're not going to believe this. I just signed a big contract with WCW Wrestling. He goes, Mark, I always knew you're going to make it someday. I knew you're going to make it. Now, remember, I'm 31 years old at this point. I'm not like a young kid anymore. And he goes, what do they got you doing? I go, well, Dad, they got me doing Little Richard. He goes, Little Richard? That guy? And I go, yeah, but Dad, they're paying me $100,000 a year. Goes, I always liked that Little Richard.
Let me ask you something. Did you go study some of the Little Richard stuff?
No, I got to tell you, Stevie Ray, the greatest thing about the Johnny B. Bad character was that I got to work with Dusty Rhodes all the time.
Okay.
He would show me the lines, you know.
Oh.
Yeah, kick your booty with my tutti frutti. He goes,
okay.
Pretty. He'd do all that stuff. Then he'd do it, and I wouldn't do it quite like him because Dusty was really.
Yeah, Dusty's good. He's good. Yeah.
So he goes, no, kid, do it like this. Go, and then he'd do the movements and the mannerisms and everything, And I was trying to copy him. And
right.
laughing so hard, me and Dusty, and it was the time we got to bond, him and I, because it was his creation.
Yeah.
It was his gimmick that he came up with, So,
wow.
Oh, he'd show me how to walk to the ring. We get there early, and he goes, "Now do this," and then kiss this and do this, and then we came up with a kiss that don't miss, where you stick it on the person after you knock them out.
I remember that.
The Bad Blaster, and then we were shooting money out of the Bad Blaster.
Right, I remember that.
Oh man, it was just the greatest time. That's why WCW was the absolute greatest. Dusty Rhodes, I love that guy. I mean, he was like our mentor, man. He was funny. He's always a jolly and a good mood, and I was glad that he gave me my break. And I look at everything in my life that if Dusty Rhodes didn't come into it, I wouldn't.
Isn't that funny that somebody, hey brother, by the mere fact that you resembled somebody that apparently Dusty must have admired, because he had all his stuff down and gave it to you, and you're somebody you'd never even seen before.
Yes.
And you pulled it off, brother.
Oh.
Hey, that was the beginning, brother.